What's going on, Larry? Checking it out. What's going on, man? Checking it out. What's up with you? Another day.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. JPA.
Good morning. Time is 8:34 and we're calling the meeting to order. Roll call. Chair Riley.
Here.
Vice Chair Larry Reed.
Here.
Commissioner De La Fuente. Here. Commissioner Dobbins. Then the telephone.
Commissioner Haggerty's on the phone.
Okay. Commissioner Haggerty.
Yep.
Commissioner Hill. Here. Commissioner Lauren Taylor.
Here.
Thank you. And I do not have any open forum items.
Okay, thank you. Approval of minutes.
We have minutes for first minutes for February 15, 2019. So moved.
Second. Open day. Read.
And then we have minutes for March 6th, special meeting.
Moved by Reed. Second by Alphabet. Is
Okay.
there any opposition or abstentions?
You have to do roll call vote.
We have to do roll call because we have people calling in.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So roll call on both minutes.
For the first minute for February 15th, Nate Miley,
Aye.
Larry Reed,
Aye.
De La Fuente,
Aye.
Dobbins,
He's not on.
he's not on, Haggerty,
Calling in shortly.
Aye.
Hill, Taylor,
Aye.
and that motion passes with one absent. And motion for March 6, 2019 minutes, Nate Miley,
Aye.
Larry Reed,
Aye.
De La Fuente, Dobbins, absent, Haggerty,
Aye.
Hill, Taylor.
Aye.
And passes with Dobbins absent at this moment. And I have no open forum, so next is item 5, report of the director.
Good morning. Two items to update the board on this month. First is the naming rights at the stadium project that we've been working on. The discussions and the negotiations continue on the naming rights for the stadium. I'm currently engaged in discussing terms and trying to put together a contract. If all goes well, I would hope that we will be able to bring something to the board for approval in our April board meeting. The Indoor Football League, as we all know, the Warriors will be exiting at the end of this basketball season, so we're going to have inventory for next year. And discussions are continuing with the Indoor Football League to put a team in Oakland and play at Oracle in the spring of 2020. League executives led by Jerry Kurz and Greg Anderson are coming back in April for additional discussions and a site visit. We will contract this through AEG as an arena event if they decide to move forward. And we are anticipating that they will make a final decision sometime in late summer. They did just expand and open up with the San Diego Strike Force down in San Diego. So Oakland would be the second team on the West Coast expansion for them. That's all that I have this month. Thank you.
Do you have any update on the homeless, your follow-up on the homeless with the city of Oakland?
No, I do not. I have not heard back from anybody at the city yet on the sites, Nate, and so I don't have anything. I've reached out to Mr. DeVries a couple of times, and I understand he's busy. He's got a lot on this matter, but I've not heard anything back.
Well, Joe and I had a conversation yesterday. I told him I would have a conversation with you and Supervisor Miley and Chris Wright as it relates to the issue around homelessness. And Joe's leaving today to go back east for his, I think it's his mother's birthday. So, but I need to talk to him.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
All right, yeah, because we want to stand up. All right.
I'll get back to you as soon as I do hear something from Joe.
Any other questions? Anybody? All right, there are no speakers on this item. Item I2.
The general manager's report, we have the general manager's report in your file. Chris is down in Los Angeles today on business. As you can see, we've got a good steady flow of concerts and entertainment. Tonight, as a matter of fact, is the Justin Timberlake concert, which was canceled, if you recall. He came down with a throat or some sort of an infection back in December, and it was rescheduled for tonight.
Any questions, comments? Okay, hearing no questions or comments, we'll go to new business.
The new business is item 6A, resolution approving and authorizing the execution of supplemental number 7 to the master agreement and exhibits to the master agreement between the Oakland Raiders and the Oakland and Alameda County Coliseum Authority, and approving and authorizing the execution of a settlement agreement for parking revenue dispute between the Oakland Raiders and the Oakland and Alameda County Coliseum Authority. And I have no open forum.
Chairman Miley, we need to go into closed session before we take this item up.
Okay. So we'll recess in closed session, then we'll be back on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Recess at 8:40.
Are you gonna call me for closed session?
We're gonna leave him on. We're gonna leave him on.
Scott?
We'll just leave you on.
How do I go into closed session?
I already have closed session put up for you.
Yeah, there wasn't. Are you online or not?
I would go count something. I never know. I like watching it. Sometimes I don't know. I know the ceremony was the show. Sometimes she's watching this. She was now at 2 o'clock.
Yeah. So in the meantime, man, this is Chuck Johnson. I'm here at the GPA meeting representing with my man Zenny 62. Very interesting day. I guess they about to go start the closed sessions, and we can maybe get a conversation going with some of the representatives here. So stay tuned. Yeah. I mean, what I think so far is the biggest thing is my own personal work. For example, I've been a co-convener of an entertainment task force, even with my man Chris Dobbins, and so I've always had an interest in seeing what's the direction for the city in regards to entertainment per se, and then even for our African American community and how we'll play a role in that. Right now, the future is being developed right before our eyes today, because ultimately it's going to be a big decision in regards to just how much activity is going to continue into this Coliseum for the next, few years, whether it's the Raiders or whatever the future may bring. So this meeting is very important. I wish I could get some questions or comments from you guys, because I want to hear from you too as well. So what you think so far, Zenny? There, that's the media back there. So yeah, just sit tight. Zenny got me doing this live streaming. I think it's very important because it's a certain audience that wouldn't know about certain activities like this happening. What do you think if the Raiders try to leave? Yeah, I see you, Zenny. What's going on? What do you think if the Raiders are trying to leave? I think it's kind of tough because ultimately, it's a certain unfinished business that I think that the Raiders have with the city of Oakland, and will you see them in Las Vegas Stadium? I have to keep around to do a little more intel, man, to see if they're really gonna make it to the Vegas Stadium. I wanted to just kind of focus on what's happening here with the Oakland situation, and I think it'd be important for them to finish this last year strong with Oakland, because to the education that you were telling me, Zenny, I mean, it's gonna yield a little bit of money, so to speak, that Oakland would receive by them staying here. So with you viewers, keep it real. I'm gonna learn right as you learn. You know what I'm saying? Yep, you say you remember the Dellums Task Force. Yeah, man. So this is in maybe 09, 2010. I was basically brought into the Mayor Ron Dellums' media department, and while I was there as a media consultant, I actually was a co-convener of an entertainment task force. And it was just a unique process because we got a chance to get people from the community, cabaret license owners, artists, entertainment business people to come together with recommendations to form at that point that was to form an entertainment commission. That was one of our goals at that time, was to form an entertainment commission, because we believe that at that time we had the film commission, but with the entertainment commission it was going to allow for just a broader range of people, that whether it was festival promoters or if it was movie producers or television production producers, we wanted to open up a lane where they could really see a support from the city of Oakland and less bureaucracy to do their business here in the city of Oakland. And so uniquely enough, 10 years later, for the last year, we've been having that conversation again with the city of Oakland via council member Lynette McElhaney's office, as well as the police department and also the cabaret owners. We've been having that conversation in 2019, 2018. So this has just been something that I've been definitely dedicated to. It just keep it real. I wasn't on some vlogging like how Zenny does. He got me front row, running into individuals that I've been knowing for years. You know, I've been discussing community matters with Larry Reed for decades. Me and Ignacio Del Fuentes, we've had conversations about developing an in-house sideshow, for example. So my energy has always been how to take our culture and actually in a legislative way affect the city, not just, you know, making some money, but really changing the course of how the city interprets what we do, you know? So, you know, when Zenny asked me to be a part of this process, I just felt like, yeah, I can do something like this. All right, say, Grizz walked in. Maybe he wants to say something. Okay, which one is Grizz? Okay, I'll find Grizz. Where's he at? Is he still? Is that? Okay. Right there. Is that Grizz?
Good morning.
What's up, Grizz? How you doing, man?
How are you?
My name's Chuck Johnson. All right. So Zenny has me here with you on live stream. I just wanted us to get your input on why you're here and what you think about the formalities today.
The only reason why Forever Oakland has any presence whatsoever is first and foremost is for legacy that we honor our grandparents in 1960. So this lease thing is second nature to us. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the long term. But I didn't know you were for Zenny, because if you were for Zenny, I'd say don't video record myself.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay.
I don't support the Zenny show. So.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay. It's all good. I'm cool.
Sunday. Yeah. So go to and there's all these send it down one side, right? And then she walks over to the other one with the cover. Crawls on the bottom part of it, walks up the whole thing. Like straight up. So her hand, I see her start, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna sit because you're definitely gonna slip, smack your face, smack your head, and come like that. That's exactly like instead of not letting it happen, like see how this plays out. Yeah. And Nikki went to be ready. Yeah. Be ready. I'll be ready. And there's something about learn smacking your face. That's why she goes down like that. She went down first, she did a couple somersaults, and she decided to do like that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. That looked bad. You don't walk through. That was about a month ago. Daddy came home. She got excited. Was outside with the candy and went running on the asphalt and smashed her face. Baseball. Half Japanese. He's digging in. Illegal. Straight to remember, this is Coach Fish. Round tip. And I think this is when he gets it. Oh. Coach Fish hit everybody hits. Yeah, hit the ball. That's the make contact. Oh, Jesus. Come on, Sally.
All right.
Review.
He's just waiting. He's just waiting.
I did not get I know. Well, we don't have money.
No. Come on, Captain.
I know I got it.
There we go. Oh, nope, coach can't feel.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we just gotta we'll figure it out, Zenny. Ultimately, like you said, this is a platform that we want to be able to have a good conversation about certain dialogue. So we'll figure that part out. But it's just important for us to have a certain kind of a media here that can see this and then have input. And so that's why, again, I'm here. Ultimately, I think it's important for us to have a platform. So, you know, we're gonna see this through and just see what it's about and see what kind of information that we can get to the community. Yeah, I guess you're right. I am the only black media here. Yeah, that's reality, man. I'm seeing it. I'm living it with you guys. You know what I'm saying? That again, it's important for us to have somewhat of a presence here. You know, again, my personal journey. I've you know had conversations with quite a few people in here, just on different levels for the community. And right now, this is just an important piece. And so, whether it's Lauren Taylor or Larry Reed or Ignacio or even Nate Malley, we've all had communication. So I want to try to maybe get some words from them at the end of the closed session about what's the future for the city of Oakland. Straight up. So again, it's deep. Excuse me. It's deep. Zay, you gotta be going live, man. This is some real work. I ain't mad at the work, but it's a cold game, man. You gotta be viral, man. I used to do video content all the time, and so I'm not new to camera. It's just going live for projects like this. Also keep a note if you have something against Giz. Okay. Chance you to go over to him. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be in the middle of a certain politic and I ain't prepared for it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's all good, man. But it's politics. You got to do it. But tell moms I said thanks. You know what I mean? And like I said, man, the Raiders. You know, keep it real. I've been in the union with IBW for the last 15 years, man. So I'm very familiar with the stadium. I've worked with the Raiders, you know, basically for the last 15 years to make money. So I know the personal impact and even the OGs that I met working here at this stadium, like all the security guards to some of the ushers and everything. Like, they've been having these jobs for decades. And so this definitely is going to have a very tragic impact on our city. But I believe that, you know, this is the city of Oakland, man. We're gonna find a way when it ain't a way. You know what I mean? So, again, on some other dimensions that I'm here for is to kind of see what is the path of what they're going to design as content that they're going to have at the Coliseum once again, you know, the Raiders are gone and even the Warriors are gone. You know, I think right now it can be now an opportunity just for new growth and new businesses and new lanes for promoters, even like myself, to bring, you know, artists to Oakland and just different events and activities for education, you name it. So, you know, I just have a personal interest in being here. So it's all good. Just wanted to ramble off a little bit. I wanted to just, you know, get my presence felt some on the stream. But yeah, back to the GPA meeting. It is. Man, the Lakers, huh? I don't know, man. I think they just put too much on LeBron's hands in the first year. I believe that the team has some young up and coming talent. They just don't have like some real savvy veterans. They don't have too many like championship breaded players. You know, they got Rondo and I guess they got McGee, but the other players they're still up and coming. They're kind of like unproven, and so what do you expect? And then the unthinkable happened with LeBron, which is, you know, the $1 million a year man who works out, you know, spends $1 million on working out. He got injured. He got a groin injury. So, you know, it was the unthinkable. So you had, you know, almost 2 or 3 months with LeBron not in the rotation. So that team, you know, it lost its rhythm. It took some blows this year. With, you know, if everybody would have been healthy, I could see them still kind of competing. But everybody didn't stay healthy. So that's just sports, man. That's just the shit you got to go through a season. You know what I'm saying? You can't predict what happens in the season. So I think next year, I think he'll be back healthy. I think, you know, Magic and company gonna shake things up. They're gonna have to. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have to go get a big prospect. You know what I'm saying? Should LeBron come to the Warriors? Oh man. LeBron to the Warriors. Wow. All right. LeBron to the Warriors. I mean, what I mean by that is he's been so long, like, you know, quote unquote, the nemesis to go against the Warriors. It'd look a trip to see him in a Warrior uniform. But, you know, sports is a business. So if it makes sense for, you know, to move to San Francisco, to bring LeBron James in, if unfortunately some of our players leave, you know, I can understand that business move. I keep it real. I know LeBron loved the Bay Area. I tell you that. You know what I'm saying? I think he loved the energy of the Bay. I don't know if whatever his thing with the Warriors is, but I think LeBron would love the Bay Area, no doubt. You know. So unless you got any more questions for me, Zenny, that's the media back there, just kind of chilling, waiting on this session to start back up. So, keep it real, Zenny, we're going to be probably sitting out here for the next 10 or 15 minutes. You know, they're having a closed session. So, I mean, why wouldn't he pick LA? You know what I'm saying? LA is LA. You know what I'm saying? It's the home of Hollywood. It's the home of just good money. It's just palm trees. It's good schools for his kids. So LA is LA. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. So hurry up and waiting. Been live for almost 30 minutes, man. I keep I haven't did this in a long time. So shout out to Zenny, man, because you know, it's a new day, man. We gotta have a presence with somewhat of a media today, man, because a lot of things would go on in this city and we wouldn't even have a clue. What do you think of John Gruden? I mean, it's a tough job being a coach because they want like immediate gratification, and if they can't see your moves or your vision, then you the bad guy, you the fall guy for a lot of stuff, you know. Will he take the Raiders to the NFL playoffs? I mean, he gets a bad rap for certain things, but keep it real, he's kind of showing he's making moves right now. You know, he's making moves. You know, they got Brown in here. They almost got, I thought, Bell. So if they, you know, try to pick up another nice pickup of a running back, then you know what I mean. It'll show some growth. I see they just picked up the safety Joyner. So they're making moves. You know, you still got a couple more months to go to just see really what kind of impact it's going to be. But I'm not going to get up here in front like I'm down straight up with the home team. But you know, the years has proven that we ain't been that good, man. Straight up. And so if we can, you know, make some, you know, important moves, maybe we'll get back up to the dominance that we know we've had before. You know what I'm saying? Again, I wasn't even tripping. See, Zenny got me out here. I didn't even get a haircut. But I said, you know, it's way beyond me, man. It's about learning how to be a platform to keep us informed or keep us involved. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I have to be, a vessel to be a part of something like that this morning. That's why I'm here, man. Straight up. Any more questions? Then I'm gonna just switch it back over. Will the Warriors win the NBA Finals, Chuck? Okay. Sure. I mean, we showed clinks in the armor this year, but that's the freaking Golden State Warriors. Like they really have, you know, a lockdown on this generation's dynasties. Like for real. I think they're gonna come together when it means something. Like right in the playoffs, they're gonna probably run off on, you know, a 10-game winning streak in the playoffs or something. Like that's what that team is built for more. So I think the playoffs than regular season now. I think they done got so into a groove that they know they can damn near cruise through regular season or even give people hope. And then, you know, they cut it on. They cut it on. Yeah. So yeah, again, it's the media all just kicking back, talking to each other. You know, again, just waiting on this closed session to be over. This is where they sitting at. I mean, you know, Steve Kerr, man. He's a hell of a coach, man. I think for him to be able to wrangle together, just it's a difficult thing, man. He got all these incredible players that deserves a certain amount of time, a certain amount of respect, and he make them all do the dance called team, you know, and that's a very unique skill to have, man. It's not easy to get multi-hundred-millionaire men, you know what I'm saying, to coexist on in a somewhat of a selfless way. No doubt. Okay. Got John in the building, huh? What's up, John? All right. Nice meeting you, man. Okay. Shout out Richard. All right. Yep. Oh, Zenny, man. Where you up there in Georgia, huh? Yeah. All right, John. Okay. Yep. It's all good, man. I look forward to meeting more people in your community, man. You know what I mean? It's a good project. Yeah. Fiat count, huh? Fiat count. It's all good, man. Yeah, they go to media, man. Where's our media? Back in the day, where's Soul Beat? That's where I came from. I started off in Soul Beat back in the day. I mean, we know why the Raiders are doing this. Let's face it, man. This building is, you know, it's old as shit. Keep it real. This building is old as shit. I don't know if you exactly want to cuss it as cool or whatever, but and nobody wants to pay for this building to get redone or rebuilt. You know, at the end of the day, the current owner has a different relationship with Oakland than the original owner. I say it that way. I don't think his same commitment and investment of interest is here the way it was before. And then, of course, you know, the relationship with them in the city of Oakland and the money that the city promised them, and et cetera, et cetera. Now we just having a dispute with money, man. You know, it's just straight up. We talking about money. We ain't talking about the commitment to the blue collar audience that's been coming here for 40 years. We dealing with money, millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? If not billions. And so at the end of the day, I think the new owner thinking about going to Vegas, he's doing what's in the best interest of the company, and that's business. I mean, you know, that's business. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it is as personal as it is to us with him. It's more about the business. Yep. The waiting game, huh? It's a cold vibe. Jenny got me on this live stream waiting for these people, man, and what their decision is going to be. They said, how many Raider games have I been to? As a spectator, I don't know. As a worker, I've worked the Raider games for almost 15 years. So probably been to hundreds of Raider games. To be real, on one level, you know, I went as a fan, but then I was in a union, and so I was in IBEW, and the client for IBEW was CBS and Fox Sports. And so I would have to do what's called some utility work here at the Oakland Coliseum, where we would have to bring in TV trucks, and we was basically like the custodians of the Coliseum for Fox Sports and CBS. So whether it was the audio lines, the video lines, setup of cameras up in bleachers to running power cables, I just had this experience for 15 years working here as my side job. You know what I'm saying? I call it, quote unquote, my side job that never ended. You know what I'm saying? But I always had my own understanding that I wanted to develop media platforms. And the job here was kind of the ends to the means. But doing what I'm doing right now, to keep it real, just having a platform is always been important to me. So, yeah. So I've been in a ton of Raider games. In fact, one of the darkest days of my life was at the Super Bowl in San Diego, in which I worked the San Diego game. And I guess that was 04, I think. And it was just a hell of a ride being a part of a Super Bowl team, a Super Bowl crew. It was actually Super Bowl crew when the Raiders went against Tampa Bay and Gruden gave them the game and they came and beat us. So, okay, it's 03. Okay, yep, it was 03. So I worked that game, and it was just an incredible day because it was basically like an 18-hour day, like a 20-hour day that I worked nonstop, because that's just how big the Super Bowl was. But yeah, so it's just gonna be very different with Oakland not having the Raiders sooner than later, unfortunately. San Diego is nice. Met a nice girl. That's about it for me. Nah, it was San Diego was cool, man. You know, it was Super Bowl week in San Diego. I think it was called the Gas Lamp District or something like that. Out there, shout out to the Gas Lamp District. And it was a hell of a time. I remember going to a Magic Johnson party that weekend. Shout out to my man Steve Stout, the dude Steve Stout with United Masters, the company United Masters. He invited me to a Def Jam exclusive party, and I got a chance to chill with him. And it was basically having drinks with him and Russell Simmons and a few people, man. So yeah, man, we had a hell of a ride with this experience, with this writership. Like, I really can say that I've had a unique ride with this. You know, Magic Johnson is cool. Yeah, he cooler than a fan, man. Cooler than a fan, man. Yeah, no doubt, man. Like I said, it wasn't the Raiders, but it is what it is. I did the Super Bowl about 3 years ago at the Levi's Stadium. Now that straight up was like a 20-hour day, like nonstop. We didn't start. We started like at 6 a.m. We didn't stop until like 2 a.m. the next day. I ain't gonna front it. It was a respectable check too, so it's all good. No, Magic seemed cool, man, but he about his business too. You know what I'm saying? So Magic dope. So, you know, I've had an experience on the camera and behind the camera. Like, sure, it's fun being in front of the camera and all that. You get admiration and everybody see you. But really, I like being behind the camera because you learn the system of how the production happens, and you get to dictate like the money and who gets a piece with you, and you know you learn how to market and advertise a certain way behind the curtain. So I actually like producing more than I like doing this, to be real. What else you got, Zine? Yep. I want to say, why do you think the Raiders need to do to win? Like I said, it's just bringing in that new influx of a certain game plan. Like, just keep it real. We've been losing, so we got to get that running game back to control the tempo of the game. We gotta get our stops on third downs, man. We gotta start getting more interceptions, man. You know, all those stats are pretty low. So you know what I mean. We got some real work to do. And again, I think they've been in the mentality of rebuild for a minute now. So now it's just time to get it while we can. You know what I mean? Not to be negative, but I hope the Raiders never win. That's funny. I mean, who is my favorite Raider of all time? Wow. I think for my generation, growing up in the 90s and the 80s, Bo Knowles was very impactful, man. Bo Jackson was like, I was so mad when that dude popped his hip because I knew he was just going to break a gang of records. So I think Bo Jackson, you got Ken Stabler. No, Ken Stabler was hard. Ken Stabler was hard. Real gunslinger. For whatever reason, Tim Brown pops in my head. I think on defense, Howie Long pops in my head. I don't know. There's a couple of players that kind of came for a few years and came and went. Of course, my man C. Wood, Charles Woodson. And see, you going back, it's all good. Cliff Branch, Otis Sistrunk. Okay. Yeah, that's old school. And I think the youngsters should Google those players because, they paved the way for them today, no doubt. So, again, you got the media back here, just waiting, chilling, closed session. got Gene Upshaw. Yeah, Gene Upshaw, old school. Ray Chester, no doubt, no doubt. Ray Chester, okay. Me and his, I know Ray Chester's son, TC. Shout out to TC, man. It's all good, man. Again, man, I'm an Oakland native, man. I'm 44 years old, man. So now I've seen a little bit now. I got started in this game, man, at a very early age, bro. Straight up, yeah, really, man. I'll be 45 in September, bro. And I'm proud of it, man. I'm glad to see that I can, you know, grow to be what these youngsters are called an OG. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm glad that, you know, I ain't running to be the youngster no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely able to balance the game with knowing how to kick it with the youngsters, but really I also know how to kick it with these OGs and understand the future of our city. You know what I'm saying? Like Larry Reed, again, he been talking to me, man. When I was in my 20s, Larry saw that I was discussing politics with him. You know, so this is just a natural progression. I just keep it real. I just haven't been tripping on being on no live shit like this. This is straight up live. It's being live again. Check my track record. I've been live a lot in my life. You know what I'm saying? Larry was in the camera earlier. You know, I get him later on. I'll try to get him later on, but keep it real, Zenny. I'm gonna just get the information. I ain't gonna mention nobody's name. I'm just try to get the information, man. You done asked some of them tough questions, haven't you, Zenny? Oh yeah, Zenny. Zenny, you done asked some of them tough questions, didn't you? So they be like, hold on, there goes Zenny. You know, hey, how you doing today? Good. It's all good. They go one of the council members. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, that's Noah, the council member. Yeah, but I met him before, man. I met Noah. He don't remember me from when I met him, but me and him had a good meeting at his office, man. So, it's all good, man. How you doing, Noah? Yeah, he keeping it lit. See, he keep going. Let me see. I'll try to get him over here.
No, but it's different. That's the regular closed session. This was, he said we have to go to closed session. The agenda has,
I'm gonna let him do whatever he's taking care of right here, and then I'll ask him a quick question.
They have a schedule.
No, come on. Excuse me. No, I was actually just doing a live stream. I'm Chuck Johnson. How you doing, man? I just wanted to ask you, if possible, what is your thoughts on this Raiders lease and how it's going to go?
I'm sorry?
How do you see this development is going to happen in terms of the Raiders lease?
Well, I think that I support the year lease, the 2-year lease.
Yes.
Even further down the line.
Yeah.
But the reality is that I represent the public, and they need to own up to to their investment as well as to what they owe the citizens of Oakland. It's substantial where we are today. It's not about the team players, the team is the ownership, the NFL, that needs to stand up and honor a community like Oakland and throughout the United States and your cities. And because we're paying the ticket, we're paying the price.
Yes, sir.
I'm a Raider fan from beginning to end, and I would love to see the Raiders stay in Oakland, but at the same time, we just cannot be taken advantage of by the management and taken Oakland for granted, and Oakland is taken for granted for too many times, for too long. And the NFL, the National Football League, and some of the other professional sports are responsible, accountable for that action, and that's really sad to see that happen. But at the end of the day, I do want to see the Raiders or the other professional teams stay in Oakland, but they have to honor their commitment to the citizens of Oakland, and that's the bottom line.
And to be honest with you, it seems like the new ownership doesn't have as much of the same vested interest in Oakland as the older
Absolutely.
ownership.
If you look at from the very beginning when the Raiders came from LA back to the city of Oakland.
Right.
If you ask me whether they ever paid that $50 million plus loan that the city council and the mayor and all of them gave, including some of the members that are here in JPA, did they ever pay it back? Nobody can track it back. What happened to the loan? It's a loan, you're supposed to pay it back. Well, what happened to the $50 million? Then I took a bond effort on top of that to rebuild the stadium. So I think that the ownership of the NFL and the ownership of the Raiders are the ones that are challenged, and they're just here to make a dollar. But you don't make a dollar on poor people, fans that are supporting you.
Right.
And it should be an honor that they're here playing sports in Oakland, and you have a fan base and loyal constituent, the city government supporting you, but you got to pay your loans and your fees and honor the public. That's the bottom.
And then I guess the last question I would ask you, who is your favorite Raider of all time and why?
I have many favorite Raiders. I guess it would be Willie Brown. Because Willie Brown grew up right there when as a young man. Sometimes we needed an attitude adjustment growing up here in East Oakland, and he opened up that liquor store right on Fruitvale Avenue in Foothill.
There you go.
But he was available. He would come to our school, to our neighborhood, to the street.
Good piece of history
and
there.
He would say, hey, young man, get over here.
Straight up.
There's different opportunities within the city that you need to take advantage of as opposed to being on the street. And I always admire him for that. So Willie Brown was one that really stands out right at the top because he made a personal, not only with myself, but my brothers, changed this life.
That's a great testimony. I appreciate your time for a few minutes. Thanks. Thanks. Cool. It's all good, man. It's all good, man. Yeah, man. Again, this isn't. I appreciate that, Zenny. I hope I'm doing some justice to this project here, man. Okay, I think the meeting's about to start back up. Yeah, that's right. Here we go. Yep. So, How you doing? How you doing, bro? Chuck Johnson. Nice meeting you, brother. Nice meeting you.
Yes, Scott's on.
So we're back to item number 6. This is a new business, a resolution approving and authorizing the execution of supplemental number 7 to the master agreement and exhibits to the master agreement between the Oakland Raiders and the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum Authority, and approving and authorizing the execution of a settlement agreement for a parking revenue dispute between the Oakland Raiders and Oakland Alameda County Coliseum Authority.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you. As background, the Oakland Raiders have been playing their home games at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum under a master agreement and related exhibits, including a license agreement since the 1995 NFL football season. The parties have entered into several supplements. The master agreement as amended provides that the Raiders are entitled to play football at the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum through the end of the year past 2018 NFL season. The Raiders will be occupying a new stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. The new stadium is expected to be completed in July of 2020, but there remains uncertainty as to the completion date. The Raiders have requested that the master agreement be extended through the end of the 1920 football season, and as this construction period proceeds, in addition, they have asked for an option year for the 2021 football season. The Raiders must exercise this option on or before April of 2020 for the following season. Staff has worked with the Raiders to accommodate this request, resulting in the attached supplement number 7 to the master agreement and exhibits to the master agreement supplement. Included as Exhibit A to the supplement is a settlement agreement to resolve an ongoing dispute between the Raiders and the authority regarding the amount, if any, due from the Raiders to the authority's share of the parking net revenue. The Raiders have agreed to pay the authority $750,000 to settle this dispute. The proposed supplement lease. A summary of the proposed terms of the supplement are described below. A full form of the supplement is attached. The term. The supplement extends the term through the end of the 1920 football season, with the Raiders having an option for 2021. The Raiders shall pay to the authority rent of $6,975,000 for the 1920 season. If the Raiders exercise their option for 2021, the rent will be $9,975,000 per year. The authority is guaranteed a profit of $2 million for the 2019 season by the combination of revenue and expense caps. Additionally, the first $500,000 in expense savings, the authority will retain $250,000, and in that scenario, it would move to $2,250,000, and the next $250,000 goes to the Public Benefit Fund for charity. If the Raiders play one less preseason game, the rent would be reduced by $500,000. The training facility. Under the master agreement, upon termination of the master agreement, the Raiders are required to convey the training facility property to the authority in the satisfaction of all outstanding balance of the operation loans and the training facility loan. The current master agreement as amended allows the Raiders to remain in the training facility for 36 months following the termination of the master agreement, provided that the Raiders pay fair market value but not to exceed $525,000 per year, which brings total rent to $7,500,000 for 1920 and $10,500,000 for 2021. The supplement clarifies the dates by which the Raiders may exercise the option to continue to use the training facility. The general terms for that triple net lease, continued obligation for trailing obligations, and requires the parties to negotiate within 6 months the terms of a formal written lease agreement. Further approvals. The management agreement between the authority, the City of Oakland, and the County of Alameda requires that each of the city and the county approve the supplement. Staff recommends that the authority adopt the resolution approving and authorizing the execution of Supplement 7 to the master agreement and exhibits to the master agreement, including the settlement agreement for the parking dispute between the Raiders and Alameda County Coliseum Authority, and recommending that the city and the county approve Supplement 7 and the settlement agreement.
Thank you, Mr. McKibben. So with this extension of the master agreement before us, you're recommending that we approve this, and why is this to the benefit of the JPA and the taxpayers?
Well, we're increasing the rent by $4 million. We have a cap on expenses. Historically, the authority has paid all of the game day expenses for the Raiders. We are the only NFL franchise where we have provided all game day expenses. When you take a look at the pro forma of the game day expenses in addition to the costs associated with field conversions, we have a cap at $9.4 million on this. In the past, we have not had such a cap. So if security costs or law enforcement or field conversions or whatever went up, it was always at the expense of the authority. Secondly, we are getting a full $750,000 payment for the parking dispute. We will retain all the naming rights revenue. Historically, we have split with the Raiders all of the fees that came from the naming rights partner. The most recent naming rights partner, if you recall, was O.co, Overstock.com. If we strike a deal, and we are currently working with the naming rights partner, we will retain all the naming rights revenue.
Okay. Is there any commissioner or any of the staff have anything they want to add that would either indicate a benefit to this master agreement extension or anything that would be to our disadvantage? Commissioner Delphine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, staff, Mr. McKibben. First, let me thank you for all the time and all the months and maybe a year you have spent doing this. And maybe to obviously, we are a city that has been proud of our 3 franchises for many, many decades. And unfortunately, the writing is on the wall of us losing some of our teams. But I believe it's our responsibility, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, to try to do whatever we can to not only to continue creating jobs in this facility. Sometimes we forget that there's hundreds and not thousands of people that work here. And every hour that they work goes in to make sure that they get their medical insurance, that they are qualified for medical insurance. That's the reason why this JPA, city and county, have worked for many, many years to make sure that all the combined hours count in order for the people that help us run this facility have the medical insurance. And I'm saying that because I think that this is going to be part of the biggest benefit. Nothing is perfect, and I learned that the hard way. I was involved in the first rated deal. Some people think it was a terrible deal. Some people thought it was a bad deal. Nevertheless, 20 years later, they're still here. And 20 years later, I think that we're trying to keep this facility alive and do the best we can in order to be reasonable and fair. So I think that this proposal and your recommendation is definitely an improvement of what we have. And also, it will hopefully, I believe that it will be 2 years, Mr. McKibben. I believe that Las Vegas, I don't think will be ready for the 2020 season, but that's me. But again, I think that we sit here to make decisions. Sometimes people criticize the decisions, sometimes they commend us for the decisions that we make, but I believe they all of us try to do the best thing we can for the constituents of the city and the county. So with that, Mr. Chair, allowed me, I would like to move the recommendation of our executive director, and hopefully we can move on.
So there's a motion by Commissioner Delphine. Is there a second? Do I hear a second? Commissioner Taylor second. So let me see Commissioner Hill.
Yes, I am supportive, but I do believe that there is a supplement to the motion that needs to be made.
Staff? We want to make sure we have the motion right. and it includes everything.
So, Mr. Chair, the staff has prepared for your consideration a motion that would make various technical amendments to the draft that was posted and included in the agenda packet, which was not the final version negotiated by the parties. It includes minor changes. It is a lengthy document, so a motion could be made to adopt the amendments as drafted by staff, and these are available. We have copies available for the public, and we'll include it in the record if that is the motion. It amends both the supplement and the settlement agreement in minor ways, and I'll be glad to discuss those changes if anyone has any questions.
Mr. Delafuente, your motion includes the supplemental?
Yes. Yes, and maybe one more comment, just for the public and maybe the readers. I know that part of the proposal includes that the Raiders may play somewhere else in the pre-season, right? One of the pre-season games, So I encourage the Raiders to play in Oakland, because as they're going to be here for the next couple of years, they should play here as many games as we have left for the next couple of years. So, but yes, I'm including the amendments.
And Mr. Taylor, you're okay with it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me, can you repeat the motion to make sure we have it accurate?
So the motion that you made, it just say including the supplemental, the amendments.
With the recommendations from the
As included in the draft, prepared and distributed to your board.
All right. So,
Mr. McKinnon, is that your understanding?
Supplement 7, yes.
So I'm going to ask each commissioner to make any comments they might have. Commissioner Hill?
I have no comment.
No comments? Okay. Commissioner Taylor?
No
You're the newest commissioner here.
Yeah, I'll just say that I'm happy to second excited about the opportunity to give Raiders fans another 1 to 2 seasons to enjoy Oakland Raiders football. The jobs are absolutely important, that we are able to support our Oaklanders who are working at the Coliseum, and I echo the sentiment that we should take advantage of the preseason games as well. So hoping that the Raiders take advantage of that option to have preseason games here.
Commissioner Reed? No comments. Is Commissioner Haggerty on the phone?
Yeah. So, yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. I just want to associate myself with Mr. De La Fuente's comments. I'll keep it brief. I'm not sure, maybe I missed it, in fact, coming in on the phone, what the amendment to the motion was. So if that can be completed before we vote.
He wants to hear the amendment, supplement again?
Well, as I understand it, there was an amendment made to the motion by a commissioner, and I'm not sure what it is.
Okay, all right. Council's going to read it again.
It's 2 pages long, so it will take me a moment to read, and I will.
No.
I can
Then I have that. I thought Commissioner Hill was making an amendment to the motion.
So the amendment to the motion was to include the minor correctional edits that were made between the prior draft, including such things as mutuality.
Okay, all right, I got it.
So Commissioner Haggerty, do you have any other questions or comments?
No.
All right, so I just want to say that...
I'm sorry, Chairperson Wiley, Chris Dobbins, I'm on the phone.
Oh, Commissioner Dobbins, you're on the phone, okay. Didn't know you were with us.
Yeah, I've been with you. I just wanted to say I agree with all my colleagues, especially with Commissioner De La Fuente's comments. So, I'm here. I'm ready to vote.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say...
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The only thing that Commissioner De La Fuente said is, I think he forgot that he represents the county of Oakland, or the county of Alameda, and he said that hey, we're proud to have this.
Yeah, we can excuse him because he served so many years on the Oakland City Council, the former president of the Oakland City Council. In fact, I served on the Oakland City Council with Mr. De La Fuente and Mr. Reed, and I believe Supervisor Haggerty is on the board of supervisors, so we brought the Raiders back here. So there are 4 of us who've lived this journey for a long, long time. So to keep them here for another season or potential 2 seasons, is good, and I'm glad the executive director was able to outline why this is advantageous to the taxpayers. So with that being said, do we have any speakers on this item?
No, I do not have any speakers.
So I have my card right on your desk.
Where? Oh, I didn't see it, sorry.
So,
So you have
Councilmember
Councilmember Gallo.
Guy?
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, and I'm here on behalf of the citizens, fans, and the residents that live down the street from me that they have been loyal, supportive, not just financially, but spiritually, of the Oakland Raiders. And the reality is, Mr. De La Fuente, from the very beginning, even with the relocation fee that you provided through the city in terms of the $56 million, it's still in question if they ever repaid that back. So that the reality is, I am here because we're going to continue the antitrust, because the way professional sports, including the National Football League, has treated this city, this county, has been extremely challenged, and we at the JPA, the City Council, and the county have allowed that to continue. Even some of the remarks you made about agreeing on the parking, agreeing on the fees, paying for their training facility, that they weren't even paying their rent when I got on the council. That we had to call them on the millions they owe the city of Oakland. So I am in support of having the Raiders continue, and I appreciate the work that you have done, and most of all, the extra revenue that you were able to demand from the National Football League and the Oakland Raider ownership to pay back to the citizens of this county, this city, because when it comes to sports, Oakland has always been treated differently by the professional ownership, whether it's the baseball, the basketball, and the football. So I thank you for making that last effort, and I support the amendment that you introduced, and thank you for your support on this action. Thank you.
Thanks for coming down. Other speakers?
No, I don't have any other speakers.
So, Councilman Gallo mentioned the lawsuit and this, and also this agreement. There is no connection between the legal action and this agreement.
So the supplement agreement itself expressly provides that neither party is prohibited, constrained in any way from pursuing litigation, and that would include the city, the county, or the JPA, as well as the Raiders, should they pursue any other action against those public entities.
Right. So if there's no other questions or comments, I think we have to do a roll call because we've got two people on the phone.
Okay.
Roll call.
Roll call. Chair Nate Miley.
Aye.
Vice Chair Larry Reed.
Aye.
Commissioner De La Fuente.
Aye.
Commissioner Dobbins.
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Haggerty.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill. Aye. Commissioner Taylor.
Aye.
Okay, so all ayes.
Okay. So I anticipate.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to drop off now.
All right, thank you. So
Thanks, Scott.
I anticipate that the Board of Supervisors will be taking this item up next week, and I think the city will too.
Yes.
All right. So the government entities have a chance to weigh in on this and either vote it up or down prior to the NFL meeting on the 24th. Okay. All right. So let's see. Any reports from council from closed session?
No reportable action was taken in closed session.
There's only one request I'd like to make, is that when the city council hears Scott, that you're there, and I will ask the president of the council for you to present what we just voted on. Pardon? I need you to come to our next city council meeting, and I would like for you to make the presentation like you did today at the council meeting. And I'll work that out with the president of the council.
You have it.
All right. Okay, so thank you for adjournment.
There's a
Okay. All right. So the meeting's adjourned. So let's see if we can get a word from Scott. Okay, which one is Scott? Okay, Lauren is out. Lauren got out of here. I was trying to get.
I guess you can not council anymore.
I was trying to catch Lauren, but he got out of here.
Some of the city council and
Ignacio. Hey, Ignacio, let's go to my guy. Can I just get 1 second with you? Just a community vlog, man. How important was this for the city of Oakland today for this to get passed?
I think we've been spending a lot of time on this, and I think that I understand, sometimes the sentiments of people. But at the end of the day, man, it's a couple of thousand people that work in this facility. It's mostly seniors, mostly people of color, people that this is the livelihood, So anything that I can do or we can do to extend that time, in my opinion, is
appreciate it. It's all good, man.
my feeling hasn't changed as it relates to the ratings. That once they made that decision, it's like, you don't mind if they come out tomorrow.
Wad, County Supervisor, Chair of the Joint Powers Authority.
Everybody look good? Everybody sound good? All right, and we can just talk about what this vote means, what the agreement means going forward for the Raiders staying in Oakland for at least 1 more season.
Well, it's a good agreement because what it'll do is it'll provide opportunities for people to continue to receive employment. The Raiders playing here at the Coliseum. It brings a lot of goodwill and attention to positive goodwill to the city of Oakland.
Excuse me, Larry. Excuse me, Larry. Larry. I want to see if I can get you just on my vlog. I just want to ask you a question on my vlog. So Larry, man, this is of course our council member Larry Reed. How important was this for this to get signed off today?
It's not important to me. The only reason why I'm here today is because of the loyal, diehard Raiders fans that's been mistreated by the Raiders.
Right.
And so they want the Raiders to be able to play another year. So,
what are your pros and cons to this?
well, I think the Raiders did to see an injustice. This is the second time that the Raiders have just stepped on these diehard Raider fans that have loved them and worshipped them.
That's right.
And now they're off to Las Vegas. And so, I take issue with that. We had a deal that was structured that would allow the Raiders to stay here, play in a football-only brand new stadium, and they chose to go off to Las Vegas and disrespect those who have been so loyal and faithful to them.
For us to have them 1 more year, though, that does bring in some revenue to the city, right?
Well, yeah, it brings in some revenues to the city, but also, more important is the employees who work those games here. It keeps their jobs intact for another year,
maybe 2 years. It's all good.
He's got to break down the revenue.
I'll say. First, you can say it slowly. First, last name. Ian or Owen? Ian.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out which one is Scott. Where's Scott? Do you see Scott? Zini?
On our neck, we have pro forma in a number, and anything that goes beyond that, the Raiders
got much more, it's like a typical NFL deal. What is that up Well, that's all being well, doing a field conversion from baseball to football is $450,000 alone. So you go through cash pretty quickly if you got to change back and forth.
So they threw away their leverage by doing it this way, right? By threatening to leave and looking all around. They threw away all their leverage. So you had that coming back into negotiations.
Well, you know, the view that I always took and we always took was when Mark Davis took the deal off the table was, look, we understand you're probably not pleased about a lawsuit, but on the other hand, why don't you go ahead and go out and take a look at what else is out there? We're keeping our offer on the table. We want to partner with your fan base and the community, and if at some point in time you want to re-engage with us, we're willing to sit down, and that's what we did. And they went and did their window shopping, and they found out that what they had here was still a pretty good deal. And I will say that Mark Davis and Mark McDaniel, president, were very cooperative in trying to put a deal together. So this really turned out to be a pretty good partnership.
And this was the deal that was on the table the entire time before they went over and looked at Levi's and Oracle?
Well, there were a couple of twists and turns in the road,
Okay,
like resolving the parking dispute and the naming rights proposition, and getting our arms around exactly what the expense figure was going to be.
They're doing the training as well. It's been a lengthy negotiation, but Scott represented the JP very well.
What about the resolution of that election law? How does that resolve?
That just became an issue of when they were going to convey the property back to us. They wanted to give it to us actually before they left town. The master agreement does not permit that. And so we just went back and with our lawyers and their lawyers, we worked out, you know, that was last Wednesday, and by Thursday afternoon we had it resolved.
Was there anything that you wanted that you didn't get?
Yeah, new stadium and new stadium.
I understand that.
Finally, and I got more than that.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about.
We'd like for the Las Vegas to be delayed even more.
I understand that, but given reality, given the fact that they are moving with regards to the temporary situation, is there anything you wish people got in this deal?
And I think my board members, I think we're comfortable with the deal that we've got, and I think the Raiders are comfortable with the deal, given the fact that it's just a 2-year and they are leaving. So I think all in all, it's a good public-private partnership.
How do you think this affects the way the NFL views Oakland, Alameda County, the way they already view Oakland, Alameda?
Well, I would hope better. I mean, one of the things that I know that my board members, you know, and I take Commissioner Reed as president of the council last year, and they've been on it a long time. They've been through a lot of the ups and downs of the NFL relationship. And, you know, I've tried to just convey to them that, look, we are being watched. We are being judged a bit about how we handle this. And that's why our feeling was take the high road, always make yourself available to talk to the Raiders and try and work a deal out. You know, I've always learned if you do what's best for the fans, you're going to always win. And this deal was about doing what's best for the fans and the taxpayer. We wanted to do a deal that was good for the taxpayers.
What do you think it means? What will this mean for the fans? I mean, we all thought that game was the last game in December, and now we're going to get at least one more year, maybe two. What does it mean for the fans to know that they're going to be staying here for at least 1 year, if not 2?
Well, they get to come to football games for 1 or 2 more years, and
I don't think they'll probably see a winning product on the field as well. They'll get to see some good football.
Good players.
Yeah.
But how important was it to get at least another year or 2, even though they are leaving eventually?
I think it was important, once again, for jobs, the people here that are employed here to depend on the games. Once again, for the positivity it provides to the community, the city, the county. I think all that's good. And as I said earlier, I just think the fact that we can maybe end on a positive note between the JPA, the public entities, and the Oakland Raiders, even though they are leaving.
But Nate, isn't that a two-edged sword? If you get a better team with a better record, and then they leave after that, isn't it?
No, it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. You can't argue against it. It's just the reality. It's unfortunate they're leaving, but yeah, you got to move on.
What do you put the odds that they'll take the second year? I know you're
depending on the construction on there, but maybe they have some information.
Well, I'm going to say that it's probably 50/50. The deadline is very tight if everything goes
April,
right.
Of next year.
But the punch line, well, the punch list of having the stadium ready is going to be in the summer. And so it's going to be very, very tight. So we'll just wait and see, you know. One thing you don't have to worry about in Las Vegas is weather problems.
Can you talk about the exhibition? The board members had some comments on the exhibition games. Is that up to the Raiders? How many of their exhibition games they'll play here?
Yes.
So normally in the past they played them all here. That would be what, 2 or 3 games?
2.
Yeah.
But you make the point that the NFL scheduling deadline is probably earlier than the stadium construction deadline. Like, they probably need to know by that spring. Well, they will release the schedule in late April, early May, right after the NFL draft. And, you know, the construction punch list for the following year isn't going to be ready to go till somewhere around July. And we have given, and the board has been very good on this, we've given them till April 1st. Typically, they had to exercise their option February 15th. And so we, again, you know, tried to extend the hand of cooperation to the Raiders and saying, okay, we'll give you an extra month and a half till April 1 before you have to exercise the option on the 2020 season.
Can you explain in a little more detail the Raiders' usage of or access to their training facility in Alameda once they do ultimately choose to relocate to Las Vegas? How long can they use the facility?
36 months.
It seems like a long period of time. Why so long?
That's the period of time that they had asked for back when they did the deal when Mr. Davis brought the team back. And I think his intention was, I wasn't here of course, but his intention was if we ever did make another move and we had to commute back and forth like to LA or to San Antonio or any of these other places they've talked about in the past, that they had a facility that they could play in and practice in during those seasons while they were waiting for another stadium to get done. Because if a stadium takes 26 months, you're actually about 2.5 years in, right? Which means you're into the 3rd season. That's the magic to getting 36 months.
One thing I just want to say, and let me take off, is, you know, Mr. McKibben, he negotiated this on behalf of the JPA. We didn't have the politicians involved, and I think that's extremely important. You know, we hired him, he has the relationships, he has the expertise, he has the knowledge. He negotiated a very good deal on behalf of the JPA. So I think that's an important point to look at, because in the past, politicians have been involved in these negotiations. With the A's, with their lease extension, we had our attorneys do that. The attorney, John Streeter, negotiated that for us. And so McKibben negotiated this. So I think when we keep the politicians out of this and let our professional staff do it, I think we're in much better shape.
Are you saying there's no grandstanding when that happens?
Yes, no grandstanding, no misunderstanding.
Right.
That's why I brought him over here to explain the details.
Right. And if we could, one more question. I was going to ask about the naming rights piece with the GPA. When is that process? How's that process
We are
going?
in the process of talking to a really strong prospective naming rights tenant. We'll know more in the next month.
In your view, does today's vote assure that the Raiders are playing in Oakland at least through the 2019 season? Is there any sort of...
I cannot speak for the county or the city council. But you know, history would tell us that every time we have voted here that the members from the county and the city have voted to support it, that they have already gotten the support and the blessing of their colleagues, that they wouldn't have voted aye today. And the virtue of the fact that we went unanimous meant that there was no splits between city and county on the way in which the deal was done.
With regards to the potential of an indoor football team coming into this building, when did that start? When did that come up?
I got January.
Okay, so it's only been a couple months.
Is that going to happen?
Yeah, is it?
Well, we're hoping.
What's the name of the league?
Which league is that? Indoor Football League. It's the old Arena Football League, but now it's called the Indoor Football
Is that what the SaberCats were in? San Jose?
Well, San Jose SaberCats. When the Fry family owned the SaberCats, it's the same. It's not the same league.
Right.
It's it's the same sport.
Successor to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly, and they've done pretty well. They have the principals are the same people that have the team down in San Diego Strike Force, which just started a couple of weeks ago.
So this would be a new franchise or something?
New franchise. It would be an expansion on the West Coast, so they would have San Diego and they would have Oakland.
And when might that happen?
2020.
So for next season?
Yeah, we're
Around the
trying
corner.
to get the, because they'll play here. And the Warriors are here till the end of June.
And then-
Assuming we make the NBA Finals.
Who's got the tenants?
Long-term
What,
tenants,
David?
you guys have long-term tenants for Oracle? Does that now include Dave Campbell and Mays?
No, we don't have long-term tenants. We're looking at indoor football, and we're looking at, obviously, we're gonna bid for the NCAA regional finals. Those are things we have not been able to have because with the NBA schedule, you're locked out all the way till the middle of June. Now, many times you don't make it all the way to the finals, but you still have to make that available to the league. Same with baseball. I mean, we're boxed out of there with baseball all the way till the first weekend in November.
Is indoor football a fall sport as well, like NFL?
No, it's a spring sport.
Spring.
It's a spring sport.
So that'd be spring of 2020.
2020.
And who would own this franchise? Or does the league own the franchise?
The principals of this are San Diego group, and I'm not gonna name them.
So they would own the Oakland one?
You can track them down if you want.
But they would own the
They would, yes, the same owner.
And what's the status of that negotiation as far as?
They're coming up here in April to sit down and take another long site visit with me and go through it, so yeah, we're encouraged.
And just on the naming rights, so you're thinking within a month we might have that announced?
Yes.
And at the moment, it's just the Coliseum, right? There's no more ODOT code at the
No,
moment, right?
it's the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum.
There you go.
I'm gonna go, guys.
So
I
appreciate
love
you.
all of I'm
Appreciate you.
tired.